Thank you, Swati. Fine, fine. Amidst COVID times, refreshing to be on a seminar from inside the house. Thank you, Swati. Thank you, in fact, to the entire Meditech Clinica team for having hosting this wonderful session and also having me here to address, in fact, the first session or kickoff session. I would make my presentation in two parts. One of 25 minutes to talk about what technology solutions can do to enhance healthcare service delivery, and then maybe present to you two videos which will showcase what this technology is all about and the impact it has had on the society. I'll start off with the presentation just now. So to start off with, my whole topic is on Godrej Healthcare's Cold State Solutions, which provides reliable healthcare and effective healthcare service delivery. Now, when we look at a typical lab or a hospital or a life science or even a clinic environment where cold chain requirements are required, you require working or store samples for preservation, and these can require room temperature storage or refrigerated storage or freezer storage. When we say freezer, it is around minus 18 to minus 20. Ultra low freezer storage, which is minus 40 and minus 45 thereabouts, and cryogenic is minus 86 and beyond, no lower than that. Now, when we look at these kind of storages, one would typically want to understand what kind of practices evolve around this storage. So if you look at a typical lab environment, a good storage practice for reagents and biological materials is very essential for any laboratory. And one of the key elements is biological samples often degrade over time when stored at room temperature. It may also lose integrity when it is exposed to very low temperatures, especially when it is subjected to multiple freeze-thaw cycles. Now, this is very essential to understand why, because cold chain solution has to not only provide a reliable facility within which it will operate, but also ensure that it does not take it to beyond stress levels at both sides, both from the freezing point of view and also from the higher temperatures point of view. And just to illustrate the point, refrigerated temperatures are very frequently used for short-term storage of biological reagents, enzymes, and antibodies. And they lose integrity if they are repeatedly frozen and thawed. This is which is what we have stated in the headline. This is often a practice when you do routine experimental use. So reagents have to remain viable at refrigerated temperatures when used within manufacturer's recommended timeframes. There are obviously biological materials which need to be stored between minus 20. This is at normal freezer and ultra low freezers, which we talked about. And also there are nucleic acids, proteins, and endocrine molecules which require minus 80 and above below storage temperatures. What are the two key points if I have to sum it up? And if I look at all this various application needs of COVID testing, blood samples, tissues, vaccine storage, stem cells, labs, organ storage, DNA samples, and all. What is very common to it is that they're extremely sensitive to stable temperature profile, and they need to be maintained 24/7. There's no breakages which are allowed, and they are extremely vital for operations continuity. the cold storage need has to operate with tighter temperature band. And when you measure temperature within the storage chamber, any 2 points should not vary beyond a degree of temperature differential. This is what is known as low stratification, and this is extremely crucial to relieve stress and maintain efficacy of samples which are stored. Spoilage and preservation. We've talked briefly about what happens if you put it to stress beyond the freezing side, and also on the thawing side and on the positive side. And they're very sensitive to breaches in operating temperature. What are the key issues? And we did a survey across various labs, couple of hospitals, and found out practices which are deviate to what ICMR or WHO talks about in terms of storage. While most of the requirements require storage, say either in freezing -18 or between 2 to 8 degrees, normal practices in labs are to store it in domestic refrigerators. Now, WHO definitely does not recommend domestic refrigerators for storage of all the samples. Why? Because the integrity of temperature profile is not guaranteed. Now, if you look at suppose a 100-liter storage unit of domestic refrigerator, if you take, all you get while you are wanting to use 2 to 8 degree zone is around 20% of the entire storage area. And that too, its integrity is not maintained because as you open and close, these temperature profiles are vastly disturbed and they go haywire. So this is one major learning which we got in terms of usage practice. We are, from our side, trying to create awareness as to what cost it incurs in terms of missed samples, accuracy of and reliability of test results, and wastages and spoilages of reagents and enzymes. We've also seen issues of freezing, poor defrosting, and typically they are in some way or the other connected to part failures like thermostat and relays, which are continuously operating because of 24/7 cooling requirement. And there are gaskets which weather off and over a period of time lose their sealing ability, and because of which these refrigerators become power guzzlers without the user having realized this over periods of time. And all of this is factored by a very poor service response, because most of the people who are selling these refrigerators are either low-scale manufacturers who are covering this and calling this as lab refrigerators, or it is imported. Either ways, the service delivery, we have seen them to be wanting across various labs which we visited. What do we bring on table? A technology which is revolutionary, which has been certified by WHO. It's being used across several countries by UNICEF to power their immunization programs. And it's an innovation which we want to take to the world, and which is what we are trying to see, is ensuring that this goes off as something which will revolutionize the cold state storage practices across healthcare domain. And what does this give? This gives and ensures a perfect temperature control with absolutely no risk of freezing. If I have to give you an illustration of what this technology is all about, well, this operates on nature's principle of working. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you would have encountered what is known as anomalous behavior of water. Now, water is densest at 4 degrees. And this phenomena is seen when you, during winter times, when you go to lakes or rivers, you see the surfaces of the lake completely frozen. And beneath it, if you drill a hole, and the Eskimos actually catch a fish by drilling a hole and putting the hooking line below. You have actually water flowing and fishes swimming merrily. So this phenomena is of very high frozen surface on top and 4 degrees of water at the bottom. To give you a very illustrative example of this working principle, let's take a chamber and pour it with water, say at room temperature at 32 degrees, and provide cooling coils on top of them. No, and so we have a tank full of water, and you have cooling coils on top of it. Let's power the cooling coils. Now, when you power the cooling coils, what happens is the cooling coils start cooling, and because of this there is heat exchange between water which is in contact with the cooling coil and and what happens is water surrounding the cooling coil starts dropping in temperature to an extent that from 32 it starts dropping to 30, 28, 24, 22, 20, and then it starts going down till a point where it reaches 4 degrees. And as soon as it reaches 4 degrees, you have this anomalous behavior of water principle kicking in. Water, being very dense at 4 degrees, starts sinking and settling down. And the moment it starts sinking and settling down, it displaces the warm water up. So at bottom 32-degree water rises up and 4-degree cool water comes down. This phenomenon continues till the entire chamber is at 4 degrees. What happens if we continue to cool this further? We try and continue to cool this further, and water around the cooling coil continuously has heat exchange between the cooling coil and itself. And at one point in time, around -2, -1 degree, it starts going into the phase transition temperature, which is where there is a transition from liquid to solid phase, and ice flakes start forming. Now, when ice flakes start forming, it is lighter than 4 degrees, so it starts floating up. We allow this whole mass to float beyond a certain level, and we create a ice bank of -10 degrees on top. So now we have replicated a complete phenomena of what we see in nature during winter times, water beds which are at -10 and 4 degrees water at below it. Now imagine that you carve out a storage space at the bottom around the 4 degrees. You would have 5 sides of surrounding 4-degree water stored around the chamber, which then quickly normalizes the chamber to around 4 degrees. And you can keep life-saving drugs, vaccines, injectables, insulin, vital medicines, lab reagents, and so on and so forth, blood, whole unseparated blood and all. So many number of uses which you can do. And what happens, to give you a very quick illustration of when you access these stored parts, there is a tendency of warm ambient air to go inside the storage chamber. When that happens, water molecules around the storage chamber actually have this rapid heat transfer. They rise in temperature, they bring the chamber back to 4 degrees. They rise in temperature, they go up because they are lighter than 4 degrees, and they hit the -10 degree ice bank, beyond which it actually heat exchanges over there and then comes back at 4 degrees. So this is a working principle. The phenomena happens multiple number of times in an hour, in a minute, and keeps the chamber constantly between 4 to 5 degrees. How do we say that? Well, here is a live example of some tests which we did in Vietnam with conventional storage devices like Iceland refrigerator over a period of 60 days. And the blue line is the Schwarzschild refrigerator. And you'd see that between 4 to 5, around 5 degrees is what is the blue line, which is constantly for 60 days. Some spikes which you see are actually door openings. And if you notice that the spikes are momentary, it comes back to the straight line very fast. So that is what we call the recook time. A normal Iceland refrigerator or a domestic refrigerator is even worse than this. A normal Iceland refrigerator, you see, has got huge amount of spikes, erratic behavior, and goes beyond the conventional set points of 2 degrees to 8 degrees, and thereby creating a possibility of they stop going waste. So this is one. The second is when we power this whole refrigerator with ice. Now what happens is the need for compressor to come back and power this ice making machine is not required. What we have found is that once it is stabilized, and we have noticed this for several installations which we have done, that it does not power itself on for quite a number of days. Now, thereby saving energy. No, but power consumption comes down dramatically. Another feature which I want to bring to attention is that since this chamber is inert, it is surrounded by water, it has got no moving parts, no electrical parts. It's completely safe for any storage of chemicals which are there and unstable chemicals. And we've seen some instances where unstable chemicals have led to fire hazards in normal refrigerators and Iceland refrigerators. This is completely corrosion resistant and completely inert in terms of how you can store sensitive products. We built in and packed in a lot of features, intelligent early warning system with audio sensor alarm. Now, in case of cooling failures, now because we have a very high holdover of 2.5 days where it stays within 4 to 5 degrees in spite of there being no power or if it's not working. Now it gives us sufficient time for our service mechanic to come and correct it in case it is required. We have not seen too many cases where our service intervention was required in field. We've got several intelligent alarm systems built in, more from what was required from PQS perspective. And so it enables remote operations, remote monitoring from perspective. Anyone can go and have a visual look at the refrigerator and report back to the base that this is what he's seeing or send a picture of it. We've also built in IoT facilities, though it's not been launched, which will help you remotely access the system and figure out what's happening. I've also mentioned about low power consumption, greater than 1 kilowatt hour per day. This is under test conditions. So obviously, if you store it in controlled environment, this is going to be much lower. I have given an example of what happens when you open the door. Well, there is thermal shock, there is a momentary rise in temperature. It quickly gets back to normal temperature of 4 to 5 degrees extremely fast because it's surrounded by huge cold water load on 5 sides. While the product itself is very reliable, we doubly ensure that we are backing it up with wide service network. We've got 24 branches, 160 plus engineers, 600 service centers, and close to around 3,800 technicians in the field who can travel to remote locations or quickly reach out to urban and peri-urban centers and ensure that the downtime of the refrigerator is reduced to a minimum. All of this is done and manufactured at a state-of-the-art manufacturing Pune facility, which also incidentally is a benchmark facility for industries around that region. It's India's first platinum-rated zero waste discharge plant. And it's proud to say that it operates on the philosophy of garden green outside, hospital clean inside, and that's the motto at which the factory runs. Extremely clean and no speck and dust. And pleasure if anyone of our partners want to visit this factory, we would love to take you there. Summing up, why Godrej Lab refrigerators? Now, guarantees never to freeze. I've talked about some areas where freezing itself is very detrimental. And in some cases, like vaccines and all, blood and vaccines where it's very vital that it should not freeze. Vaccines lose its efficacy. Blood, in fact, loses its ability to carry oxygen. So, in a way, very vital that we ensure that when we say between 2 to 8 degrees, it never goes below 2. exceptionally long holdover times, and we guarantee you this innovative use of storage. We've seen spare parts failure, thermostats, relays, and all. Now we eliminated thermostats here. And in the case of applications like where there are issues of continuity of power, we provide solar solutions. And the solar solution is also very unique in the sense that it is solar panel to the compressor directly, no inverter and no battery. So once you stay connected, this is something which ensures that the oft faced problems of battery discharge or inverter not working will not scuttle the running of the product in any way. It eliminates chances of failure completely. It's completely environmentally friendly. Power is a major thing which we kind of promote. It's PQS qualified this entire 2 to 8 degrees range. Stratification is very low, less than 1 degrees, and extremely easy to repair and maintain. So we talked about 2 to 8 degrees. Well, we have a larger portfolio as well. This is our 2 to 8 degree range, which is WHO qualified. We have a 25 light, which is specifically for small labs and pediatricians. We have a 51 light, which is for a medium-sized lab, and clinics which see a large of influx of footfalls. And then we have 75, 19, and 225 going on the size of the operations which are required. We've also got 300 and 500 and close to 800 liter, 2 to 8 degrees glass door pharma and lab refrigerators. This comes in built in with trolleys inside. It also has got provisions for normal shelf. It has got huge amount of humidity control also in this to ensure that cultures remain safe under the storage conditions. We have 2 to 6 degrees blood bank refrigerators, which again, once again, has got several features of temperature control, alarms, trolleys, and racks and glass door. We have a whole range of -20, -40, and -86 freezers. We've also recently going to introduce a blast freezer wherever it is required, but those are required for plasma storage, and we will cater to those as well. We have the only made in India PQS qualified product installed in more than 32 countries, and we're proud to say that we've taken the precise, extremely critical medical cold chain requirements across the globe. And we've dotted across Africa where the needs are very, very stringent. What is not seen is Pacific islands like Fiji and Papua New Guinea and some of the islands which are dotting close to Australia and other places. So huge amount of experience across very elite areas like Nepal, where we have done extremely well. I'll take you through some of the case studies, primarily to showcase what has been the impact of our technology. Now, Brahmaputra Gloat Clinic is an extremely good example here. Now, Brahmaputra poses a huge challenge for health access across villages which are dotting Brahmaputra. There are close to few hundreds and close to thousands of villages around the banks of Brahmaputra which have very low health access. Health centers are without doctors, infrequent ferries from the mainland, supplies of medicines are very low. Remote islands means premature deaths, prolonged illness, challenges in meeting vaccination targets, and unreliable power source means that whatever bloat clinics, which are the only means of healthcare access, have to run on diesel generators, and they have to run their power sparingly, because of which they cannot take longer trips. They go about and come back within a day or maximum 2 days, and that limits coverage of villages across Brahmaputra. Now, we offered solutions to this boat clinic. We powered it with solar and gave them our SureChill refrigerator and put it in the one of the boat clinics. what enabled them was that they had properly stored medicines, vital medicines, and vaccines available, uh, always stored at 2 to 8 degrees. And this enabled them to take longer trips from their mainland, do a sortie of a week or so, cover as many islands as possible, and then come back to the mainland. This vastly improved accessibility and coverage of all their healthcare programs. I will briefly take you through the video of this. It's extremely good one, which has been made in collaboration with a partner over there. The next is on scaling up blood banks. One sad part is that over the last 5 years, close to 28 lakh units of blood and its components were discarded. They were largely due to expired blood, broken seal, broken bags, improper storage facilities, and this actually leads to blood not being available in time, leading to death and in fact complications of health across several regions of the country. We have installed blood banks across several states now, and technology enables scaling up a blood bank, setting up of blood banks in remote parts, thereby improving access. Case in point is Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, UP, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, and West Bengal, where we have supplied blood banks, and they have been able to scale this up very fast in remote locations. COVID testing facilities. This is quite new. When we were asked by Maharashtra government to help them out, our company not only monetarily supported, but also in terms of providing healthcare furnitures, but also looked at solutions which will help enable scaling up and providing accurate RT-PCR tests. Now, in the case of RT-PCR tests, the test samples have to be refrigerated at 2 to 8 degrees for up to 72 hours. It has to be maintained at that point in time across its supply chain when it is being sent to various places. Domestic refrigerators are being used, and in many cases awareness has been made, and we have made the shift to proper medical refrigerators, and wherever we have started adopting, and this is very recent because it's been COVID time, so whatever stock was there, we've been able to send. We've been able to make a huge difference to these centers. Eye banks. Now, one of the key issues which we came was that cornocervical button, the moist chamber pod, is stored within 2 to 6 degrees at all times. It's stored in a tissue culture medium, and maintaining this 2 to 6 degrees is very, very important. So this is where this technology has come in handy, and it is not power dependent. So you can actually have remote eye bank facilities being set up to ensure that the thrust on rural hospitals is taken away, and load is shared amongst trust is taken off from the urban hospitals, and load is shared by rural hospitals as well. At this point in time, I will stop sharing. I'll come back to you, put the audio on, and take you through two of the videos which I want to show.
Some say 3 is the magic number. We think it's 4, because at 4 degrees water is at its heaviest. This means water at 4 degrees sinks. At any other temperature, it rises. It's why hot water rises when you heat a pan of water, and why the surface of a lake can be frozen in winter, yet fish swim happily in the water beneath. It's a property that's unique to water, unique in the universe, and is at the heart of SureChill cooling technology. because 4 degrees isn't just the temperature at which fish can swim happily in a frozen lake. It also happens to be the ideal temperature to store food, beverages, and life-saving vaccines. So we harnessed it and created a cooling technology that works unlike any other. Turn on the power and SureChill cools water surrounding a refrigeration compartment. Like the lake in winter, the cool water rises and forms ice on the surface, leaving only water at 4 degrees around the compartment below. Turn off the power or lose power and the water will gradually warm. But this will rise at the same time as cooler water from the melting ice falls, again leaving optimum cooling conditions of just 4 degrees. Cooling that can be maintained for 10 days or more without power. It does this because it's powered by a simple law of nature that challenges what we think is possible. Cooling that works without constant power, cooling that works with nature and not against it, cooling that changes lives. Magic? No, just simply impossible cooling.
The beginning of this boat clinic has conceptualized from an incident of a pregnant lady. Our managing trustee, Sanjay Hazarika, while on out in the Brahmaputra for a shooting of a film, he came across a pregnant lady waiting in the river bank on the Majuli side and waiting for crossing to the other side for a higher medical facility in Jorhat. But unfortunately, she didn't get any conveyance of boat for which she died. And that deeply impressed him from other way, that how to reach the community instead of they reach to medical facilities. And that was the beginning.
In each of our boat clinic team, we have one district program officer, 2 medical officers, 1 pharmacist, 1 laboratory technician, 3 ANMs, and 3 community workers, and 4 boat crew and 1 cook. We are the Jorhat Boat Clinic, and we have 16,000 of population in Majuli Island, and we reach 16,000 population every month. Once we leave the port, we cannot come back. We have to stay at the boat for 6 to 7 days, and we travel to different islands, and where we organize medical camps, awareness camps, and immunization camp. And after finishing the camps, especially the island villages, and then we come back to the port.
There are 2.5 million population on these islands. There are around 2,500 islands along the river Brahmaputra from Sadia in Upper Assam to Dhubri, bordering Bangladesh. We provide mainly immunization to children and pregnant women, ANC, PNC, and laboratory services, family planning activities, and we give emphasis on awareness building. There are instances where, people would be coming running just to see how a doctor looks like. Our doctors have assisted in delivery, and the baby was named after our doctor.
আমাৰ অকল গৰ্ভৱতীয়ে নহয়, আমাৰ গাঁৱৰ মানুহে ইয়াত বোট ক্লিনিক আহিলে চবে আমি দেখুৱাবলৈ আহোঁ দাঁতৰ বিষ বা কিছুমানে পেটৰ বিষ কিছুমানে জ্বৰ হলে ইয়াতে আমি ঔষধ পাতি ল'বলৈ আহোঁ।
There are many organizations who are coming forward to help us, and one of them is Selco Foundation. Through Selco Foundation, we have been provided with solar energy. We are very fortunate to have a Godrej Super Chill refrigerator. Maybe on boats we go on trips of more than 7 days. We have problem of storing vaccines. But with this refrigerator, which was provided through Selco Foundation and it's solar power, and the plus point is that you don't need a battery, you don't need an inverter, and there's a whole over period of 7 days. So our nurses are confident that they can store vaccines safely.
COSIL के आने से हम लोगों को बहुत सारे फायदे हुए हैं। इसका जो डिजिटल डिस्प्ले इसमें इनबिल्ट है, तो हम लोग आसानी से इसको देख सकते हैं और लगभग 4 से 5 डिग्री सेल्सियस के अंदर ये हमेशा से ही मेंटेन रखता है टेम्परेचर। वैक्सीन रखने के लिए इसमें बहुत आसान होता है क्योंकि डोर इसका फ्रंट में है, लेकिन ट्रेडिशनली जो आयलर होते हैं उन लोगों को निकालने के लिए हमें ऊपर से वैक्सीन रखना पड़ता है, लेकिन COSIL में ये रखना बहुत आसान होता है और इसका कंपार्टमेंट भी बहुत लार्ज है, तो हम लोग अच्छी तरह से कम पूरे महीने के लिए यहाँ पे वैक्सीन बिना कोई टेंशन से रख सकते हैं।
Our immediate future plan is sustainable energy ecosystem, which we are planning with Selco Foundation. They are proposing to provide solar power to 3 more boats in Upper Assam, and Godrej Social will be used for storing vaccines.
So that's a brief presentation. Thank you very much. I think I got around 2-3 minutes left. If there are any questions, I'm willing to take them on board. Yeah. So now we have done installation and commissioning across length and breadth of this country, and one of the challenges has been terrain. Now let me give you a few examples. We have installations in Jaisalmer, we have few installations in Tehri, Garhwal, Mizoram, and a few installations in Gorakhpur. I'm just giving you a few examples. Now in Jaisalmer, for kilometers to kilometers, there is nothing available, only sand. But there are nomads and there are tribes available who need healthcare facilities. So there are healthcare camps in absolutely regions of nowhere with few poles of light arrangement. Now, when we place something over there, one has to be extremely sure that this will work, because even servicing it would take 2 to 2.5 days to reach and understand, diagnose, go back and set the part right. And another thing which we have seen is this area especially is exposed to 55 degrees, huge temperature loads, and we had to ensure that we stay relevant to that 2 to 8 degrees promise which we gave. That is on the Rajasthan part. If I look at Tehri, Garhwal, extremely hilly terrain, upper reaches, Chamoli area, getting service in case something goes wrong is extremely difficult. Gutsy winds which will blow away the solar panels. So all our solar installations have actually got certified for level 2 tycoons. So huge amount of wind it can withstand so much of wind force. And this is something which is also practically being used in Fiji, where we are installed. So they have this yearly cyclone phenomena, and we have seen that our refrigerators are are working well. The solar installations have not got blown out. So the connections have to be robust. It has to withstand these kind of gale winds. And Mizoram, on the other hand, has got extremely wet climate. Whenever we go, it's always raining. So, and plus windy. So, varied climatic and terrain control. Power is a major issue. We need to train technicians and service mechanics so that at least the first level of diagnosis is done in the field by them itself. So, in a way, the communication package has to be in such a way that they understand our product so well, and they can at least tell us what exactly is going wrong or something which needs to be set up. So, when we go with into the field to address some problem, we go with a solution in hand. So, very briefly, these are the challenges which I faced. Now, maintenance is obviously something which our service is very good at taking care of. So I have kind of very briefly touched upon the conventional technology versus our refrigerators. Now it does solve a lot of problems. The conventional technology has huge amount of temperature variability, and it is not, and is wholly dependent on power. So in case there is power fluctuation or power is not available, intermittently is also available, then the reliability of assurance of 2 to 8 degrees is not met by the conventional technology. When I say conventional technology, I'm not talking about sure chill. I'm not talking about domestic refrigerator. I'm talking about conventional lab refrigerators or vaccine storage refrigerators. Domestic refrigerators have got even more problems to solve. This technology is quite intuitively very, very nature driven, and because of which is very passive. It eliminates most of the moving parts, because of which the failure rate in the field is very low. So it solves a lot of problems of anti-freeze, extremely precise temperature between 2 to 6 degrees or 8 degrees, and for very long periods of time, even when there is no power. So one is to figure out how to scale up. And then there are several needs which are coming, wherein our solution has to be customized and tailored. We are very alive and open to this. Now, we are working now 24/7 to ensure that this is being catered to. So there is, like you rightly said, a lot of demand which is coming. Factories are working even in spite of testing COVID times. Whatever best we can with in terms of manpower which is available, we are able to do that. Obviously, scale up will happen as we move out of COVID. But there are unique solutions also being sought now, and we are working very hard to see that is immediately catered to. Yeah. Yeah. So, no problem. Swati, what you could do is probably you could take the questions offline. I'll be glad to kind of address them. Thank you. Pleasure having coming here and meeting all of you here. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful and lovely day ahead.